This is Dave from cheapbooks.com, and I'm playing World of Tanks. The tank that I will be looking at today, this will be an overview, it's not going to be actual gameplay, is the medium tank, the Renault G1, also known as the G1R. Now, this tank is a Tier 5 medium tank, and obviously has the same equipment as every other tank. It's a French tank. I do not own it yet, but I will have it probably a week from now. One of the things you're going to notice is that it has 4 crew members, when some of the tanks before it, such as the Somua, only has 3. So you're going to introduce a new crew member into the Sarl and carry that new crew member into the G1R. What might happen is, depending on whether or not you had your crew at 100%, that 4th crew member might end up having fewer skills and fewer training than your other crew members. The first thing we're going to look at are the guns. We've got this gun here, and this gun here. So we've got 3 different guns. The things you want to look at are rate of fire, penetration, damage, and the weight. The rate of fire on this one is 15. This one is 6. This one is 15. So these two have the same rate of fire. This one being a rate of fire of 6 means it's going to take about 3 times as long to fire, but it does a lot more damage. This one has a penetration of 74. This one has 53, and this one has 100. So the third gun, the 75mm SA-44, has the better rate of fire, the highest penetration. And let's look at damage. This one does 110, this one does 410, and this one does 110. So if you compare the 75mm SA-44 with the SA-32, the SA-44 is the better gun, mostly because of the higher penetration. If you want to do more damage, you might want this other gun, which they would call a derp gun. It does 400 damage. And it can help you kill more tanks because you'll need fewer hits to kill tanks. However, the game gives you more experience based on penetrations, and this one has a higher penetration, meaning you'll get more experience because this one is more likely to penetrate. So if you're looking for kills, you might want this derp gun. If you're looking for penetrations, you probably want the 75mm SA-44. That doesn't mean that this won't kill tanks. It will definitely kill tanks. It's just that you have to hit the tank 4 times as often as using this derp gun. And the derp gun here, the rate of fire is less than between a third and a half. So in theory, the derp gun has that advantage. Now let's look at the turrets. This one has 60-60-60 armor with a 330 view range. This one has 60-60-60 armor with a 350 view range. So with this turret, you can see 20 meters further, which is at least the length of your tank, or more. Probably 2 tank lengths further. And it's required to get the ARL-44, which I've already played. You'll notice that the weight of the second turret is 5,700. It's in red because the stock tracks don't have the load limit to carry that weight. You're going to need to upgrade to the second set of tracks before you can buy this turret. And let's see if we got anything else that would be an issue. No, just that turret. So don't get that turret until you get these tracks. You got to get the tracks first. And then you can get the turret. And then you can get the gun. Now we'll look at the radios. This one has a 360 signal range. This one's 455. This one's 710. The ER-27, you can get it with the Somua S-35 and the SARL-42. So you might want to keep those tanks, play your double and your triple victories to earn this radio so that you can share it with the G1R. One of the other issues, you're going to be in a Tier 5 battle and a Tier 5 map. It's a larger map. So the 450 signal range is actually not that bad, but the the 710 will come in handy, especially when you have fewer allies on your team. When you got a lot of allies, you can see further away for two reasons. One reason is because you've got more allies that are spread out, and the other reason is there's a good chance that one of those allies has a good signal range, and if both of those reasons combined will increase your signal range because they're going to relay that radio information to you. However, near the end of a game, when you have fewer allies on the field or they're more spread out, you're going to want a more powerful radio. So if you're stuck at the end of the game, maybe like an artillery definitely wants that powerful signal range, because the artillery is always going to be alive at the end of the game, and the enemy tanks will always be far from him, such as enemy artillery units, and the scouts will get to be far from him. He needs that signal range, as do scouts. If you're a light tank, you want that signal range because you're going to go really fast and you're going to be far away from your allies, and you want to be able to reach your SPGs. So this tank has a top speed of 40. The Sarl has a top speed of 40. 40 is a moderate speed. If you've got a top speed of 50 or 60 or even 70, the FV304 does 70, then you want the good radio because you're going to be going all over the map. With this tank, I would say you don't necessarily need it. One of the reasons why, even if you did see the enemy on the far end of the map, you might not be able to get there in time to do anything about it. So let's look at these engines. The engine power 350, 400, 450. Now usually a lot of the engines don't have a large increase. Obviously 350 to 450 is a large increase. Having a more powerful engine overall is better. You'll have more power going up hills. Your acceleration and performance overall will be better with a stronger engine. Excuse me. But most importantly, it will help you kill enemy tanks because you'll be able to chase down enemy tanks a lot faster if you have a powerful engine. Going up hills, there's going to be a lot of hills in the game. And if a hill can substantially slow you down, especially if you're chasing after someone and he can make it up the hill and you can't, or if you're running away from someone and the hill slows you down. And tracks have a load limit which is required. You have to get the tracks in order to get the ARL 44 because the tracks are required for the turret. The tracks have a traverse speed. The second one is a little bit faster, which means it's going to spin a little bit faster. It's more important when you have a heavy tank or a tank destroyer that needs to spin around. You want a good traverse speed. With this type of a tank, it's not really that important. You don't have to worry about it. You'll note that this gun works on a large variety of different tanks, although many of them will be lower tier. But you've got the AMX ELC, which is a light tank on a different tree. The BDR G1B is also on a different tree. The AMX 40 also is. And the Sarl 42 is on the same tree, which is obviously right there. The turrets are rarely shared with different vehicles. This gun is only for that tank. This one, you can use it on the ELC, the BDR G1B, and the previous tank. And it's also required in order to get the ARL. The radio, you can only use it on the previous tanks, which is the Sarl 42 and the Somua S35, which comes before it. Same with that radio. This engine you can use on the BDR G1B and the ARL V39. The ARL V39 is a tank destroyer, probably tier 5, and the BDR G1B is probably a tier 5 heavy tank. So you'll be able to use this engine on two other tanks, which is one of the benefits of researching it. You'll get to reuse it. And tracks are usually only shared with that one tank. Usually tracks are not shared on other tanks. So the ARL 44, let's see if it uses anything here from the G1. Wow, that's a lot. I wonder if there was a gun. it looks like the G1 doesn't share any technology with the ARL 44. So normally I would say if it shares technology, when you buy the ARL 44, keep the G1R until you research all the technology and it becomes an elite tank, because you'll get the double victory or the triple victory bonuses, which will help you research this equipment faster. When you get it here, if this tank used the same engine, you would just have to buy it. You wouldn't have to research it anymore. So basically, the Somua and the Sarl can share equipment. For example, this radio works with the G1. So if you have a G1, you might want to keep a Sarl 42 around, use your double victories to get this radio, and maybe even that engine, and maybe the guns, and use it with this tank. Okay, so that is the Renault G1 or the G1R, Tier 5 medium French tank. If you have any questions, please post them below. Renault